Hi, and welcome to the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast. I'm your host, Tegan Thompson. I'm a book lover, a chocoholic, and an INTJ living in a world filled with extroverts. I made this podcast to share my experiences and struggles as an introverted perfectionist, and to bring the inner workings of an introvert's mind to introverts and extroverts alike. So grab a cup of tea and get comfortable. It's time to unmute. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast. Just as a reminder to everyone that it's May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So for Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm doing a mini-series on mental health, and this is the second episode of that series. And yeah, so let's just jump right on in. This week we'll be talking about mental health disorders related to introverts. And that's because introverts tend to be more prone to acquiring mental health disorders and mental health issues because the lifestyle of an introvert can act kind of as a perfect recipe for brewing mental health issues, specifically when there isn't a support system in place. So as I've discussed before, introverts enjoy spending much of their time alone. And that's because that's where their energy thrives. That's where they can re-energize when they lost energy. It's where they feel comfortable and where they feel safe, right? However, excessive isolation can lead to loneliness and feeling like you're alone and it's a you against the world kind of thing, which in turn can result in mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, personality disorders, eating disorders, and addiction. That's primarily because those types of mental health disorders thrive off of kind of loneliness and the fear of being alone and everything like that. So it's very important to kind of be aware as an introvert if you're crossing that border from re-energizing and feeling comfortable and safe and happy by yourself, and if you're crossing that border into feeling alone and feeling like you don't have anyone, right? So it's very, very important to be aware of that and to keep track of that and to always be questioning yourself about it. Introverts are also highly critical analyzers and deep thinkers, which, when coupled with isolation, such strong and overly active brain activity often causes introverts to be overthinkers. And I've discussed overthinking in pretty good detail. I actually have a whole episode dedicated to it, so if you want to learn more about it, go check out that episode. But yeah, so overthinking, when it comes to negative thoughts and feelings and emotions, can actually trigger thoughts of shame and guilt and worthlessness and hopelessness and helplessness and all that kind of stuff. And people who experience these thoughts of guilt and shame and hopelessness and worthlessness, etc., they tend to be more prone to developing mental health issues, and that's specifically towards depression and anxiety disorders, because you're already kind of in that negative mindset, and when you're in that negative mindset, it's really easy to kind of slip into a depressive state. So, and that's for everyone, because I know everyone can experience those thoughts. Just being very mindful of how you're thinking is so important. Like, is what I'm thinking good for me? Is what I'm thinking helping me anyway, or is it going to harm me? And being aware of what you're thinking and how you can change your thinking to better support yourself and be healthy. And yeah, I think I might do an episode about positive and negative thinking and how you can switch from negative to positive thinking. And also, so introverts also tend to be perfectionists, which I've also talked about, and you can go listen to the episodes dedicated to that. But if you haven't listened to those episodes, perfectionism involves high self-critical thinking, a lot of analyzing yourself, determining whether what you're doing is good enough or if you should do better, which it always is that it always ends up being, oh, I can do better, I should be doing better. So there's a lot of self-critical thinking, and perfectionists often feel unsatisfied with themselves and their lives because of this, because they feel like they're never performing at the place that they want to. They never feel like they're doing the absolute best that they can or should be. There's this idea of what they should be doing, and they're not reaching that. And so they're feeling unsatisfied with themselves and their lives, which leads to a great amount of stress, mental and physical exhaustion, and also mental health issues. And so just another thing to be aware of is, like, how am I analyzing myself? Am I analyzing myself in a way that's going to better me? Or am I analyzing myself in a way that compares me to other people and puts me down? Being aware of your thoughts is so important, because your thoughts are probably one of the number one contributors to developing mental health issues and kind of having an unhealthy mental state in general. And so just being aware of that, because there's a big theme with your thoughts and your emotions and how you think and handle those things that kind of influences your mental health a lot. And while I'm talking about introverts and kind of focusing on them, I also want to point out that even though introverts may be more prone to mental health issues, that does not exclude extroverts from developing mental health issues either. In fact, extroverts have a lifestyle that can also be prone to mental health issues in a completely different way than introverts. And I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but one of the big things is that extroverts receive their energy from others and from social interactions, kind of opposite of introverts, right? Introverts receive their energy from being by themselves, kind of being in quiet and being alone, whereas extroverts like being around people and talking and engaging in the social interactions, right? However, that can become dangerous if an extrovert starts to depend on and rely on others for self-satisfaction and acceptance in the world and for themselves and their happiness. There's a lot of people who rely on other people, rely on their friends, their family, their co-workers to make them feel satisfied with life, to make them feel happy, to feel accepted by society. And when that happens, you can lead yourself right down a path towards mental health issues and an unhealthy mental state. And again, a lot of these things that I listed under introverts or listed under extroverts are not exclusive to either of them. Both parties are fully capable of kind of becoming prone in any of these ways, right? An extrovert can feel alone, and it may not because they're specifically isolating themselves. They may just be isolated by other people, and they might start to feel alone, and they might start having those feelings of loneliness, which can lead to mental health issues, right? Or An introvert might have really close friends who they become dependent on to feel happy and to feel accepted. So just knowing that nothing is exclusive to one group or the other, and just knowing that all of these things can apply to other people. Just wanted to kind of point out some of the big things about the personality types and lifestyles that introverts and extroverts have that can be more specific to them that would lead to mental health issues. And so I apologize for my dogs in the background, but that leads me to say that everyone needs support system, and support system can be friends and family, it can be a therapist or a counselor, it can be pets, it can be I don't know, whatever else you want it to be. Just as long as you have one that allows you to be emotionally vulnerable. And when I say emotionally vulnerable, I mean being able to talk about your thoughts, talk about how you're feeling, talk about the things that you wouldn't just like tell anybody, right? You want to be able to talk about kind of those negative things that creep into your brain and the things going on in your life that are giving you a hard time. You want to be able to be emotionally vulnerable so that first thing, you're not sitting on and hoarding all these thoughts and emotions by yourself, because when you keep these in, they kind of stir and brew and grow and they become bigger and worse than they really need to be. And also it gives you a chance to kind of talk about it out loud, voice it in a way that's different from you kind of just thinking in your head, and then get other people's kind of perspective. Not necessarily advice, because I know people don't always need that or want that, but at least having a different perspective on it can be eye-opening. You also want to be able to have positive social interactions with these people, right? Your friends, your family, your therapist, your counselor, whoever. And that's for both introverts and extroverts, right? And I say positive because you can have social interactions with people that are negative and actually do more damage to your mental health than good. So looking to have and find positive social interactions is important. And then also a support system should allow you to and encourage you to have self-reflection within yourself and within others around you. Always should be encouraging that self-reflection. Why am I thinking these things? Are these things good for me? Why am I doing this? Is this benefiting me? Should I be changing something? Etc., right? And being able to do that within yourself and encourage others to do it within themselves also. Because self-reflection, when taken seriously, allows for growth, and it is so important to continue to grow and develop as a person. So, yeah, that's kind of what I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I said this last episode, but I've just been really excited to be able to talk about kind of this topic of mental health because it's so important to me and I want it to be important to other people. I don't think it is taken as seriously as it really should be, and so I'm just really, really excited to be able to share this with all of you. And so thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Heart of a Perfectionist. If you enjoyed this episode or if you learned anything new, please share it with a friend. And as always, have a good weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the Heart of a Perfectionist podcast. Wow.